Since 1982, our guest speaker, May McCarthy, has founded and grown 7 successful companies in a variety of industries as large as 100 million in revenues. And she has worked for Fortune 500 companies like Johnson & Johnson and Boeing, but Boeing's kind of, a little lately, but that's okay. They need you. So May is also an angel investor, an advisor, and supporter of entrepreneurial, artistic, and educational educations worldwide. She shares her time, she shares her talents as a consultant, a university lecturer, and a professional speaker, sharing successful business and spiritual life strategies to make work and life more fun and more prosperous in every single way. May credits her major successes to her partnership with the source of her intuition, which she calls the chief spiritual officer. Isn't that great? Which is God, just in case you didn't know. She travels the world and on purpose, and she elevates prosperity and freedom for all. She shares her spiritual success principles through her best-selling book, one of my favorite books. It's called The Path to Wealth, and then her latest book, The Gratitude Formula. And so May is here today to emphasize the importance of living your life in partnership with your source of intuition and divine intelligence, with your source, with just being healthier and more prosperous in every area of your life. Will you please help me welcome a dear friend of mine, May McCarthy.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. Look at all your smiling faces. Happy New Year. Really happy to be here. Before we get started, could I just see with a show of hands, how many of you would like to have absolute perfect health where every cell in your body is filled with healed light and you're able to move in a pain-free way? Yeah? Would anybody like to have harmonious relationships with family, friends? Yeah? Your world, the community? Okay. Would anyone here like to have financial freedom in a debt-free lifestyle to do whatever you want, whenever you want? Anytime. I think I'm in the right place. I'm so happy to be here. I had to check in, make sure I was in the right place. So in 1981, I graduated from high school. And my mother, who is a devout Catholic, who converted from Seventh-day Adventist, gave me my very first metaphysical book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. It was published in 1925 and written by a woman named Florence Scovel Shinn. Well, I took that book off to college with me. Oh my God, I thought I had a miracle formula that no one else had. I was able to graduate with honors in 3 years while growing a company with 250 employees. I had the secret that nobody else had. I was so excited. And as I spiritually matured and realized that these principles are tried and true principles and have been used forever by those that choose to use them, I was attending a spiritual center in Seattle, and in 2005, they asked me, May, what are you doing to be so successful? Because I tithe a lot. I believe in the prosperity principle of tithing. I know there's another talk on that, but that is a very, very tried and true principle. If you tithe, you are prosperous. And so I was tithing based on the formula for tithing, and they asked me, what are you doing to be so successful? And I looked at them and I said, well, I'm doing what you teach me to do. Isn't that right? I mean, I wasn't sure what they were asking. And so I said that. And they said, no, we want to know what you're doing. And I said, oh, you want to know about my spiritual practice? Well, you see, I'm a self-proclaimed efficiency expert. All that means is that I hate to waste time. I hate it. I hate to waste time. So I've accumulated over time, over studying since I was a teenager, all these different spiritual practices. And I've boiled them down into a really easy to understand and implement practice. So I explained that to them. I said, I do the same thing when I'm training thousands of employees that have worked for my companies. Customer service people to do better in their job, salespeople to do better in their job, business leaders to do better in their jobs. Very, very complicated ideas and make them really simple to understand and implement so everybody can achieve whatever their goals are, right? Sounds simple. So I was asked to teach these classes, and we're going to be doing that later today, by the way. So I was teaching these workshops, and after about the 500th person had come through the workshop and said that they had great success, and we get to celebrate because that's part of the practice, I decided that I would write a book. And it came out, and it's called The Path to Wealth, and we're doing a fundraiser today for Unity, where we're selling these, and Unity gets to keep the profits. And I wrote that book, and it became a bestseller on Amazon in personal finance. It's not a personal finance book. It's a spiritual book. And I just chalk that up to Spirit wanting these principles to be brought into business. Because business could sure use these principles, couldn't they? Yeah, so that was my role. So my talk title today, I am absolutely confident that my partnership with the divine, my partnership with Spirit, is the reason for my success in life and to keep me healthy as well. So my talk title is Partnering with the Chief Spiritual Officer for Success and Freedom. You're probably wondering, what in the world is a Chief Spiritual Officer? Well, for me, it's that creative principle, that divine intelligence, that source of all information, of intuition, that guides and directs me to achieve the goals that I have and to keep me safe and help me avoid mistakes. See, I put that title, that CSO, up at the top of my organizational chart so that I, as the CEO, reported to it. I surround myself with subject matter experts that I believe know more than I do about their areas of expertise. I have a chief financial officer that knows a lot more than I do about finances, a chief operations officer, a chief information officer, a chief marketing officer. These are all the people that I rely on to help me to grow my businesses successfully, right? Well, I figured that God knew more than anybody about everything. So I decided to bring God into my business, but I needed to do it in such a way that was consistent with my values. And my values were that these were subject matter experts. So I placed CSO up at the top of my org chart, and I, as the CEO, reported to it. Can you imagine what my employees said? Who's a CSO? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Do I ever get to meet them? And I explained that the CSO is a principle. It's the reason that we, as a small startup, are going to be miracle makers. We are going to compete against 3 Fortune 20 companies and 1 Fortune 200 company, and we are going to run circles around them and be even more successful. Are you ready? All you need to do are these simple things. And I described what I do on a daily basis, to keep focused on what you want as outcomes rather than focusing on the problem. Things that you know, but you might need to have a little help remembering to remember. So I described that, and I had them change their words and how they dealt with situations. And as they did that, they ended up having more and more success, and our company ended up being the miracle-making company. We became market share leader in our category for new sales while competing with all those giant companies. Why? Because God's ways are ingenious. His methods are sure. So we tapped into that, and it worked out just great for us. I am absolutely confident that this success in my business and life are due to my partnership with Spirit. But Spirit also saved my life. My CSO saved my life in 1994. I had this flash, this picture of my sister's face in my mind's eye. Anybody ever have that happen? You just get this like thought of somebody that you weren't thinking of before. So I had that happen. And I knew, having practiced this a while, that meant I needed to contact my sister. I didn't know why. But I went ahead and finished my business appointment, and I went to her office, and she was so happy to see me. She had a computer problem that I could fix for free. So here I am sitting at her computer, and I have my legs crossed and my nylons on, and she sees this tiny little dot on the outside of my right leg. And she asked me what it was. And I was born and raised in Hawaii, and I'm fair, so I have a lot of freckles. And I knew that that's what that was, a freckle. And I told her so. She said she didn't feel that it was a freckle. And she asked if I would call her dermatologist and have it looked at. Now, my rational mind is kicking in here to gear overdrive, right? And it's saying, May. You've got all these business trips coming up. You've got these appointments. You've got this. You've got that. You don't have time to go to the doctor. Just tell her it hasn't grown. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. How many of you have ever done that? Yeah, that's our rational mind, all right. And so I was just about to say, don't worry. And my gut hurt. Anybody have that happen? Your gut hurts? It's trying to tell you something? Yeah. Well, I've been practicing this a while, so I knew, CSO's giving me another lead. And so I said, okay, I'll make the appointment. I went to the appointment, and the doctor said, May, it's nothing. It's just a small little dot. You know what? We'll schedule an appointment for you next year and every year, and we'll just watch it and see how things go. Maybe you have heard that before from doctors. And so my doctor said that, and I thought, okay, well, I'm just about ready to heed his advice, and guess what? My gut hurt again. So I said, Doctor, I do not mean to be disrespectful. My dad was a surgeon. He told me you guys are always right. But I need you to cut that off and have it diagnosed. I came back a week later to a diagnosis of malignant melanoma, Clark's level 3. The CSO, through intuition, through messages from other people, ended up saving my life. How many of you have heard the power of spirit in performing miracles because we pray for them in life, for health, right? We have a lot of confidence in that, don't we? I can know for you that you are whole, healthy, and complete, and every cell in your body is operating in the magnificence of a spirit. I can know that for you. Can you all know that for her? We have confidence in that, and it will be so. But why don't we use that in other areas of our lives? Why don't we use that for our harmonious relationships? Why don't we use that for our finances? Why don't we use that for other things that we desire to picture in our world? Well, I think it's because most of us aren't taught. In society, we don't teach this, right? And thank God there's churches and centers like yours that do teach these principles, but for the most part, out in the world, we don't teach that. Albert Einstein actually coined this perfectly. He described this situation perfectly. He said that we have this rational mind, right? And we have an intuitive mind. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and this rational mind is a faithful servant. But somehow in our society, we've decided to honor this servant, and we've forgotten the gift. So I'm here to help you to remember the gift. There are lots of people that claim that spiritual intuition is one of the reasons that they're so successful. Bill Gates said, often you have to rely on intuition. And Steve Jobs agreed when he said you have to actually have courage to follow your heart and intuition. And Oprah Winfrey, one of the most successful women of all time, said that she has listened to that still small voice of intuition her whole life. And the only times that she's made mistakes is when she didn't listen, right? When she didn't listen. So Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Thomas Edison, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and hundreds of other people believe that spiritual intuition is a reason for success. Don't you think that's proof enough that we should give it a try? That we should rely on it more? We just need to remember how, right? So, I have 3 points to share with you today. Just 3. Did everybody get a handout when you walked in? Raise your hand if you didn't, and we'll see if one can be brought to you. All right. All right. Oh, you need one too? Okay. Keep your hand up. All right. So the first point is to know that you can partner with your source of intuition. Your source of intuition wants to keep you safe, wants to help you to achieve your desires, right? But it stands to reason that you need to know, it needs to know what your desires are, right? And they have to be worded in such a way that it can help you to work on it. How many of you have ever heard somebody say, I want to lose 10 pounds? Or, I want to get out of debt? Anybody hear those phrases before, right? Okay, well, let's think about those goals for just a moment. I want to get out of debt. I want to lose 10 pounds. Isn't the goal to be wanting? Haven't they already achieved what they want, which is to be wanting? So a better way to word that is to say something like, I am so grateful right now, already realizing your goal. I'm so grateful that I'm physically fit, trim, toned, energetic, in a healthy, pain-free body that easily moves through life. And I'm increasingly more beautiful and eternally youthful. That's my goal. So wording it so that spirit and your subconscious can help you with some steps to take on the way to achieve those goals, like seeing that picture of my sister's face in my mind's eye. You don't know what goal is being worked on. You just know that there's a lead, what I call a lead, a message from spirit, and then you need to take a step. The second point is that you need to commit to partner with your source of intuition. And you need to establish clear roles and responsibilities. I find that it's helpful to name the characteristic of spirit. And I've given you a place on your outline there that if you want to put in a name, you certainly can. I choose the Chief Spiritual Officer. This is not saying that I believe that there's any separation between you and spirit. We are all part of one. That's my belief. But we do call spirit by different characteristic names. We call it love, power, intelligence, truth, right? So, naming your partner will help your rational mind from interfering with your daily practice because it understands partnerships. All right? You both have clear roles and responsibilities that you will follow. Your job is to figure out what it is that you desire and to describe it as though it's already done with gratitude. The Spirit's job is to give you the path to take and to give you one step to take on that path at a time, like seeing that picture of my sister's face in my mind's eye. You either take the step or you ask for another lead if you're unsure, if you're filled with doubt. So I want you all to look straight out, put your head up slightly, Say, God, I need another lead. I'd really like to make it more complicated than that, but it's not. That's pretty much all you do. If you get an intuitive hit that you don't understand, just ask for another lead. You can keep asking and asking and asking, and if you keep getting the same message, that still small voice that our musician, our person that was doing the bowls did, reminded us of, then you will get another message from that still small voice to direct you along your path. This is really a hard thing for us to do because our rational mind keeps trying to interfere. Let me give you an example of how this works. I travel about 200,000 miles a year when I'm growing a business. And I happened to be in Cleveland. I got to my hotel, dropped my bags off, got back into my rental car, and I was going to go to the grocery store that I knew was 5 minutes away, right? And I had a goal. I was using my spiritual practice every single day to describe at least $400,000 in new revenue for my company to help us grow and to serve customers in a better way. And so I happened to be in Cleveland, and I got this idea. I needed to go to the grocery store to get protein shakes and water and things like that that I needed for my stay. And all of a sudden, I got this idea that I should go to this grocery store that's 15 minutes away. I've been to Cleveland many times. I know where the grocery stores are. And that didn't make any sense. And here comes my rational mind. May. It's 9 o'clock at night. You shouldn't be driving across town at 9 o'clock at night in Cleveland. I mean, come on. Your appointment's at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're going to be way too tired if you don't get a good night's sleep. Just go to the closest grocery store and get what you need. How many of you can identify with that? Yeah. Well, that's when I had to figuratively stomp my foot and say, CSO, if that's from you, I need another lead. That gave the intuitive mind an opportunity to say something. And what it said was, well, yeah, it's true, it's 9 o'clock at night, but it's 6 o'clock in Seattle. It's too early for you to go to sleep anyway. And who knows, maybe everything you want will be on sale. Just make the drive. I did. As I was walking into the grocery store, there was a man walking out that I recognized. He was a decision maker for a very, very large customer, and I'd met him 6 months before at a trade show. He wasn't returning any of my calls for an appointment, and here we are, face to face. Well, we strike up a very friendly conversation, and before the end of it, he invited me to come make a presentation to his group. That led to another, and eventually a contract worth more than $400,000. The CSO ended up helping me to achieve my goal beyond my rational mind. That's the way this works. That's why we have those stories of Red Seas parting, food falling from heaven. This stuff really is beyond our rational mind. And you can use it too. So finally, the last point is that you need to meet regularly with your source of intuition, all right? You need to meet regularly with spirit. And in that meeting, you'll describe what you desire, and spirit will tell you what to do in order to achieve it. In my workshops, I end up describing a very simple daily practice. It takes just 30 minutes in the morning, and it's really fun all day long. We're going to be doing a workshop after this, and it's about 2.5 hours. It's very interactive. I've got a 28-page workbook for people that want to go through the practice, and you will walk out of there fully equipped to do the daily practice. How many of you actually have some sort of daily practice that you do in the morning? Okay. Do you remember what your life was like when you didn't? Mine was an emotional roller coaster ride. I'd get all filled up with God, and then I'd get lazy. And then the police would come to arrest one of my key employees, or I'd get sued by a Fortune 20 company. And I would be in chaos, and I'd have to call all my friends and say, please pray. And it was just exhausting. Now, with this daily practice, I don't have to be exhausted anymore. It just puts me on a level playing field. So it stands to reason that if you're going to develop a relationship with your spiritual partner, you need to spend time together. And that's what this practice is all about. So just to reiterate that in closing, what I'd love for us to do is say a prayer together that puts the spiritual partnership right at the forefront of our thoughts. So it's going to come up on the screen, and if we could read this together, I would be very grateful. I know that I'm in partnership with the infinite. I identify myself with this partnership, knowing that it always leads to success. I accept the action of infinite intelligence is back of everything. It is always manifesting itself, and it now does so through the thought pattern of success I am establishing for myself. Conditions and situations about me now start to correspond to my new ideas about them. The invisible presence and power indwelling and surrounding me, which is forever making manifest my thought, now creates for me the success with which have I identified my thought. May you be blessed, may you be prospered, may you be healthy and happy. Thank you very, very much for having me today.